But
Okay.
anyway,
Same all-time team.
that's the thing when you do these lists. No matter what, you're gonna piss somebody off.
As long as we're being very opinionated while we're doing it, people should get even more pissed off, and that's even better for me.
Exactly. Are we gonna do another intro for the YouTube video, or are we gonna?
Oh, I thought that was it.
Oh, fair enough. Sorry. Sabres all-time team. Let's get to this.
Sabres all-time team. I don't even want to discuss. I don't want to. It's there we go, and now we can start doing whatever we want to do. That's the easiest name that will ever be put up.
Not only is he the greatest goaltender of all time, boom, I said it. You would obviously agree with me.
Well, kinda. Semantically, I won't agree with you because he's not the greatest goaltender. He is the greatest player ever. Outside of that, I think we can also get the obvious here.
I know that line. I'm not a historian, but yeah, I know the French Connection line, and I mean, I think Phil Housley's an easy one.
He's a definite one on there. I'm not convinced that he's number one necessarily,
I'll lean
but I'm not convinced that he's not number one.
Let's start on probably the tougher side. Let's start on the left wing. Dave Vanderchuk didn't really play. He wasn't really a Sabre for long, right?
He played 837 games for the Buffalo Sabres, 368 goals, 436 assists for 804 points.
So a cup of coffee.
A Buffalo Sabre. So,
yeah, he's on
a cup of coffee. Well, we're talking about how much Dave Vanderchuk played. It's going to fail in comparison to one guy in particular, and that is going to be Craig Ramsey, who played 1,070 games.
Jesus.
As I said, he had less points, but he did other things.
Right. So we could put, Craig Ramsey definitely should be on that list then.
The problem I have with throwing the two of them up there very quickly is we now only have room for one more player.
For me, Jochen Hesch seems like the obvious not on the list, though.
I would agree with that. I really like him.
No, absolutely no disrespect. He was around the time where I became a Sabres fan. When Vanek and Heck obviously have definitely have that kind of special place. I understand the dilemma because I remember Miroslav Satan from back in the 90s. I don't know anything about Brad May, and that's the problem.
It's just really hard to leave Brad May off of a list when you're talking about greatest Sabres. He does fall to the backside to these two. And these two is where I start to struggle.
Man, their stats are frighteningly similar. My case for Vanek is he was a pure goal scorer, and he was a damn good one at that.
I'm just going to say everything that you said about Vanek also applies to Satan.
Okay.
The difference between those is Satan was often overlooked throughout the league while he was playing. In Buffalo, everyone loved Miro, but you didn't know his name outside of Buffalo much. Vanek, on the other hand, everybody knew Thomas Vanek, and that's why I'm going to give him the edge. Right wing is going to be really, 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 really tough also. Because there's two names that I'm probably leaning towards leaving off here where Sabre fans are going to want to kick me in the nuts for doing it.
I mean, you put Drew Stafford in this little paperwork, and it's like, yeah.
Look back at his stats. He belongs on this list. He does not belong in my top four.
I would agree with that.
Another name that we're going to have to leave off here is one that's a really hard for me, but if I put Kodalik in the top four, people are going to freak the fuck out. I didn't want to leave him off of here. I do want to give him a tip of my invisible hat. So he doesn't make it either. After that, you leave any of these players off, I want to fight you.
And we only have room for three.
The two that I am going to leave off are going to be the older guys with Mike Foligno and Danny Gare.
Thing is,
bring on the hate, motherfuckers.
Bring
it on.
I don't know those names well, so like for me, I'm like, okay, let's talk about Afenaganov real quick. I don't know if he produced enough for me to put him into consideration either. He was a great player. Like, he had a lot of skill. I feel like he underperformed what we think he should have been.
He was one of the most exciting players to watch, but he's not in the top 4, and I hate leaving him out because he's one of my all-time favorites.
So it looks like the 3 in question, or the 3 you're probably going with, is McGillney, which seems like the obvious choice.
Yeah.
And Rob Ray, because it's Rob Ray.
He's not being left off this list. Pominville is absolutely on this list. Let's head over to right defense. I think that'd be the next easiest one. How important is it to have a good right-handed shot defenseman? Look at this list.
Yeah.
I had to move left-handed shot defenseman over. Mike Ramsey is probably my all-time favorite defenseman for Buffalo. His stats, everything will back that up. And 4 names that we're looking at, are there any easy eliminations here for you?
I don't feel comfortable putting Tyler Myers in the top 3.
Uwe Krupp, I know him much more in Colorado. Alexei Zhitnik is a definite on this list. And Rasmus Ristolainen. The guy is a beast. I am a huge Ristolainen fan. I love Ristolainen there.
Yeah, I agree. He should be on this list.
Okay, well, let's pick up our second goaltender because that's going to be another short little list here.
I mean, Ryan Miller took over for Dominik Hasek.
Well, we're going to disagree here before I get into the proper pick. If we're talking about who is the greatest on this list, Grant Fuhr is next on this list. Just did not have the tenure in Buffalo. Now, I know you're going to come back and you're going to be talking about the games played and you're going to be talking about the records that Ryan Miller had. But let's face it, he had those because of the number of games that he played. Don Edwards finished at 156 and 83 from 1976 to 1982 with the Buffalo Sabres. Don Edwards is my
I'd be okay with that. I mean, I don't know anything about him, so I'm going to default to you.
Well, Zunk, you already ruined it. Obviously, the right pick's Ryan Miller. You were supposed to stick up for that.
Oh, sorry.
You failed your job.
Sorry. I didn't. You threw a curveball. I was not. I thought you were going to talk about Tom Barrasso. I'm like, all right. And like if you pull out Don Edwards, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Now, of course, Ryan Miller is number 2. Damn it, it's fucking Ryan Miller.
Let's hit up the left defense.
Jay McKee, number 2.
Jay McKee, and now I am seeing Jay McKee out there playing with Rasmus Ristolainen.
It's gonna be a bad day for a lot of people.
We have one other spot. How do you think we need to fill it?
Is it between Playfield and Schofield? Is that where you're going leaning?
I think it has to be.
I lean towards Schoenfeld in that case, but because he was a bit better offense player while still having the "I'm going to fuck your world up" mentality.
Okay, center.
There is a lot here, man.
Jack Eichel eliminated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck Eichel.
Curtis Brown is my favorite non-Dominik Hasek player. He was going to get his name on here. Unfortunately, he's eliminated from the top 4. Okay, so I eliminated 2. Your turn to eliminate 1.
Oh.
Good luck.
Yeah, right. I mean, the good news is I don't know Don Lucy or Luce or Luce or Jim Lawrence.
Okay.
I don't know him. That's the thing.
For that reason is I didn't get to see them play. I would agree that those 2 get eliminated. LaFontaine's number 2 on here for me.
I would probably agree with that.
Hawerchuk, man, was he a great player. He kind of played second fiddle to me with Pat LaFontaine, though. So I'd probably get rid of Dale Pierre Turgeon, he was at a point per game in 322 games, 323 points with Buffalo. He doesn't make it for me either.
It is really hard to keep Don Lucy off there. Looking at stats, man.
For me, the final two spots come down to Briere, Drury, and Pekka.
Mm-hmm.
You have Pekka, who is the captain of the team that took us to the Stanley Cup final.
He didn't have the points as some of the other ones, but
he was the best defensive forward while he was playing.
Yeah.
So Pekka for me is number 3.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
You taking Briere or Drury, or are you gonna argue for one of the other players yet?
Don Lucy is the only one I think you can put in this argument between Drury and Briere because of longevity and points. What it comes down to is who I enjoyed watching play more, and that was Briere over Drury.
So why did I leave Brian Campbell off this list, Zunk?
I don't know.
Oh, you do know.
Is it because you won a Lady Byng?
He won a fucking Lady Byng trophy. You do not get a Lady Byng. I don't care that he won it when he was away from Buffalo. You get a Lady Byng, get your ass off this list.